All right, so we're going to get started. We have a ton of books to talk about today. So, how many of you have been to one of my showcases before? All right, so we have a few people. All right, so today's going to be a little bit of a mix of old and new. I have a bunch of new books to talk about. I have some old books to talk about that have sequels that have just come out lately. And I got some new topics to talk about as well. So, who am I? My name is Shiloh Skye. You can find me on my website and on Blue Sky, where I'm very active, as well as some of my writing on Fur Affinity. I am a writer. I have a story published in Work for Hire, and I have a short story that just recently won a Kyoto Award for Best Short Story called Rapture. I am an editor. I'm doing proofreading right now for the Nas Saga by Joaquin Baldwin. And I am a dog. I am a dog who has read so many books. I sort of fell out of reading after high school. I think a lot of people can kind of empathize with the falling out of reading after school, going for a while without reading, struggling to pick up reading again. That kind of happened to me. I wasn't reading as much as I used to, if at all, because I was kind of just not being inspired by a lot of the books that were out there and that I was finding. Turns out that's because there weren't enough gay animal people.
Yay!
So I picked up a book at a convention. It was called God of Clay. An adult book, by the way. This is a general showcase, so be careful. I picked up this book and suddenly I was hooked. I started reading books like Heretic by Ruckus, Scars of the Golden Dancer by Night Eyes Dayspring, and I was just having a blast again, and now I've gotten to the point where I have read over 100 furry books in the past 3 years. So I got back into it, and there are just so many more than I've already read. The amount of furry fiction out there is kind of incredible. Sometimes it really is just about finding your literary niche to get back into reading again. Now I give presentations at cons about it. The other reason lately that I've been getting into books a lot more is simply because the internet's bad now. It got real messed up. I have a bumper sticker that says this now. It's getting a bit messy, so I've found that books have been just this wonderful sort of oasis from ads, from algorithms, from AI slop especially, and from data theft in general. It's really just been wonderful to kind of just zone out and be just me and my book disappearing into a world and avoiding all this stuff that's trying to sort of monopolize my attention. It just results, furry fiction just in general, results in so much less anxiety. Okay, a little bit of anxiety. Ruckus has anxiety. These books are amazing, by the way. I think Ruckus has a table in the dealer's den this weekend. Please check these out. They are incredible. All adult though, so be careful with that. So, what is furry fiction? A lot of people, when they think of furry fiction, they think of books like Redwall, like Watership Down, maybe Call of the Wild if we're pushing it, the classics. But when I talk about furry fiction, I'm mostly talking about books that are for furries by furries. Stuff that you might see in a dealer's den or might see people talking about online. Things like a Kyle Gold book, like Green Fairy, for instance, which has got a cover redesign. A lot of people also know Out of Position, kind of one of the first furry books that comes to mind. Something maybe a little more indie, like Portrait for Tomorrow by Reynard, which is a book that will make you cry. You might also find short story anthologies, which feature a whole bunch of different furry writers all across the furryscape. It's a great way to learn about a bunch of furry writers all at once. These were written specifically for you, so they're probably going to be very fulfilling reads for you, and I hope they catch your attention as much as they did for me when I started reading again. So, furry fiction has a couple of themes that I think are more prevalent in furry fiction than in other subgenres. And a lot of those themes follow a lot of the themes that the furry fandom in general kind of focuses on. The main one, I think, being identity. A lot of books focus on this theme, and the furry fandom does as well. Personas are a sort of prime way that we explore ourselves and find out who we are. We also have queerness. We are, of course, a very queer fandom. We have all different elements of queerness represented on that spectrum. There's a lot of representation of different kinds of people, neurodivergent people, different ethnicities coded in, and the differently abled as well. We also have romance, of course. We're a very lovesick fandom. We love a good romance. There's new ones coming out every year. Of course, we also have speculative. Speculative fiction, if you don't know what it is sort of a question, what if, as the basis for the story. It's essentially, what if this situation, but it had furries? And going along with that, we have history, which is essentially asking the question, what if this historical moment in time, but with furries? And then we, of course, have short stories, which are sort of a staple of furry literature. It's where a whole bunch of different writers across the fandom get together and they put together their stories in a book for your enjoyment. And like I said, one thing I always say about short story anthologies is it's a great way of getting an idea of the furry landscape all at once and learning about a whole bunch of different writers. And adult stuff. Lots of adult stuff. We seem to specialize in this a little. We're not going to talk about that today, but we will talk about it tonight. At 9 p.m. it's going to be in this same room. It's going to be ages 18 and up, and only Anthrocon is making us check IDs. So be ready with your ID when you come so that you can get into the room. I also want to make sure you have everything you need right off the bat to find and enjoy as much furry fiction as you can. So to that end, I've made this flyer. Right on the front there, you can find different websites that you can go to find stories for free. You can go on to Audible or Libro.fm or other audiobook sites where you'll find a lot more furry audiobooks than you might actually think. There are podcasts that give you a whole bunch of free storytelling. The Voice of Dog, for instance, is the one that includes a lot of general furry lit. It has been a wonderful way for writers to get their writing out there. My own short story is on there. And it's a great thing to listen to if you have a really long trip back from the convention this weekend. Then we also have a bunch of websites that are great for if you want to get deeper into the furry writing or reading community. And we have a whole bunch of furry publishers that you can buy books from down there and browse the stacks online, so to speak. We also have the 6 books that I'm going to be talking about today on the left there. And then we have 6 other books on the right that I really wanted to talk about, but I only have an hour, unfortunately. So if you aren't hooked by one of the books that I talk about here in the presentation today, hopefully you'll find something there on the left or right that catches your eye. And then we have a bunch of writers on the back that have a ton of content online for you to enjoy. The QR code should take you right to these stories that all these writers have online for you to read for free. I've read all these stories, I can highly recommend them. There is so much stuff that you can just go online and find that is just amazing. And writers are massively appreciative of people who go online and read and comment on their stories. So it's a great way to go and make friends, I think. And then I have a website that has a whole bunch of resources for you, including it's going to have the recording of this panel, and it's going to have a PDF of the flyer that I passed out today. So be sure to go check that out. I have book reviews and a whole bunch more recommended reading and resources on there for you. So it is time for books and it is time for giveaways. So the way the giveaways are going to work is after I'm done talking about each book, I passed out a bunch of note cards here, or my lovely assistant Slanter did. And when I'm done talking about each book, I'm going to take the highest number that's out there, and I'm going to pull up a random number generator on my phone, and whoever's number comes up is the one who gets the book. So, I'm going to take a drink of Gatorade here.
I'm going to pass it up first. Do you have any extra numbers?
Yeah. 47, 48, 49.
52 card pickup.
Yeah. There's 7.
There's one over there. What's the card?
I am so happy I ran out of note cards. There's so many people who showed up today. It's so wonderful. 52. Who else needed one? Alright. That's going to be it for note cards today. So, let us get started. We're going to start with the book Far Flung, which is a wonderful science fiction book. I'd also say it's sort of a science fiction dramatic book that also has a lot of slice of life elements. And I think you will see why it sort of has aspects of a cozier book as I talk about it. So this one is by Atunu, who's an award-winning writer, very decorated. He has written 2 other books called Rafts, which is a wonderful short gay romance book, and Echoes, which is a compilation of his incredible short stories, that many of which are very award-winning. He's won and been nominated for many an award. His stories are some of my favorites in the fandom, and I think they are well worth checking out. So, this story takes place about a century after a colony ship crash lands on a barren planet. This colony ship had a whole bunch of hyenas and phoenix on it. Now, the phoenix a lot of them have psionic abilities, things like teleportation and more typical like psychic abilities like telepathy and things like that. The hyenas are more on the engineering side of things. They have more of the smarts in the situation, and their ship crash landed on this planet called Sands. Sands is sort of a barren planet that has, I think, a lot of mineral resources. There's also another planet that they colonized in the star system called Verdant, and Verdant has a lot more foliage. It's a much more of a paradise planet, very rainforested. Now, Verdant also has a system where they will send a shuttle to Sands every once in a while in order to trade supplies, but also to pick up any new Phoenix who have shown psionic abilities emerging, to take them back to Verdant. And that brings us to Ori. Ori's the one on the cover there. He is an extremely powerful psionic Fennec on Sands. And he will probably be taken to Verdant the next time that shuttle comes, which presents a lot of the tension and drama in the story. We also have T'other. T'other is a friend of Ori's. He is also a psionic Fennec, but he has a couple different undefined abilities. He is more about telepathy, mind speech, and he can also kind of hide the fact that he is a psionic so that people can't sense or scan that he is one. T'other is one of my favorite characters. He's a character that I think you're going to want to really take care of and protect. I love him so much. I gave him an award in 2023 for favorite furry character of the books that I've read that year. T'other also speaks to people in a very interesting way. The prose sort of changes to to show that he's speaking through the mind. And here's a passage. I think I'm going to read it for you. T'other spoke at him then, mind to mind. I'm not even going to try. It's a very interesting way of speaking that almost sort of reminds me of a programming language, and it's something that you sort of become a little more fluent in as you go on through the story. It's one of my favorite parts of it. So the third friend here is Samna. Samna is a hyena, and he does a lot of the engineering and smarts for the trio there. Now, Bori and T'other are extremely gay for each other. They are a wonderful little love story couple there that I greatly enjoyed. Samna is more in the friend zone. He's a bit of a third wheel for this trio, and that creates certainly a lot of yearning and pining in the story. So these three know that when that shuttle from Verdant comes that I mentioned earlier, they are going to probably be separated. And so the sort of tension of the plot is that they need to figure out how to hide those abilities in order to avoid that separation when that shuttle comes, because they can sense and scan for those psionic fenix. But until then, they're going to go camping.
Yay!
There is a lot of camping in this book. When I talk about how it's sort of a slice of life, has elements of slice of life, they spend a lot of time just hanging out with each other and looking for mineral resources in the deserts of sands. And I really love it because one of my favorite parts of Atunu's writing is the way he writes just character dynamics and characters having a conversation. I tend to say that I could just read an entire book by Atunu of characters at a dinner table talking, and I'd have a great time. It's really wonderful writing that way. And then you have these additional elements of drama that come in throughout the book to break up those scenes. It's really wonderful. So you will I think you'll enjoy this book if you like sci-fi, science fiction universes. The universe in this is, I think, very focused in its world building. It has a whole bunch of interesting concepts for the star system that has some different kinds of planets in it. The borderline slice of life vibes, as I talked about, give this book kind of a unique flavor that I don't see very often in a lot of stories. Of course, we have heartwarming characters. I talked about T'other being one of my favorite characters in the story. A lot of the characters throughout the book are just very heartwarming, even a lot of the side characters outside that main trio. There's a lot of gay romance and some polyamory vibes as well that come out in this story. And you might like it if you like giving people hugs with your brain. One of my favorite parts of this book is something called a mind hug, where Fenix use psionic abilities to give each other hugs in the mind, which is adorable. There's also a sequel out for this one. It just came out. I read it. It's great. And indeed, I think it is also an improvement on the first book. So if you like the first book, you'll find even more to enjoy in the second. So this is one that today you can get either at the Fur Planet booth or at Night Owl Misfits. Just look for these logos and you can pick a copy of the stuff. So I'm going to get out my random number generator here. No, I'm not rating your app. Repeats. And 28. Who has 28? All right, success. All these slides with the collage will be on the website as well. So the next book that we're going to talk about is The Turning. The Turning was a big surprise for me here. I read it actually very shortly before this presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, this is one that I got to feature. It works so perfectly. So this is sort of a modern fantasy that features some modern people given god powers. It is by Arlen Thorfera. Arlen is a writer who sort of specializes in writing macro and micro fiction, so featuring a lot of giants. She has written a couple other books like Goddess and Seda and Autumn, which feature the same macro themes as well as lesbian romance. And she has a great website where she does all sorts of reviews, has a bunch of different free stories on there for you, talks about a whole bunch of different things with furry fiction, and has some art for you on there as well. So, The Turning is about a goddess named Moira, who is the goddess of love and war, and she's just kind of been chilling for the past 100 or more than 100 years, several hundred years in the world, ever since sort of the age of gods and goddesses faded out. And she's just still there in jeans and a t-shirt, walking around, enjoying her life. But one day, she meets this sheep named Diana at a supermarket. And this results in one of my favorite opening lines of a book this year, which is, despite being a week in spring, it's a stubbornly gray and chilly day in South San Francisco, the morning Diana meets the goddess of love and war in a checkout line. I love opening lines to books. That's one of my favorites in a while. We also have Hazel, who's a Pika in a wheelchair, so we have some disabled representation there, which is wonderful to see lately. Then we have Rhiannon, who is a transgender squirrel, who is very good with technology. Moira accidentally makes all of these people goddesses. She doesn't really know how she did it, it just kind of happens. Now, one thing that's important to know about gods and goddesses in this universe is that they really like growing and becoming giants. They really like shrinking people, and they also will occasionally eat you. It's all done in a safe for work way, but it adds a certain amount of that flavor to the story. So one other thing about these god powers that they get that I think really kind of distinguishes them from typical like superpower story is that they have sort of a radiant effect upon people. When they use their powers, they end up attracting worshippers. People just kind of will fall to their knees and start worshiping them like almost as if it's a compulsion when they see them use divine abilities. They occasionally will accidentally bestow power upon chosen champions that they've just been around for a while. It makes for a very really interesting way of managing what are essentially superpowers in this universe. So Moira's confused, obviously, as you might be, and she has to kind of try and figure out why she shed god abilities onto these three women. And at the same time, people have started asking the question, why is the government being terrible? The government in this universe it's a near future, and they've started doing some things that are pretty insane, like just straight up bringing back segregation. Yeah. So there's some wild stuff happening in this universe, and they kind of have to figure out why are these insane things happening. And so they come across this. There appears to be a corporation behind it all, that's sort of driving things, that appears to have some involvement with the gods. And they are involved in a sort of conspiracy that's changing the world for the worse. And they have to figure out why. So, this is a book you might enjoy if you like female, lesbian, and trans protagonists, of course. You might enjoy it if you like stories about modern gods, which I know is a popular subgenre. Stories about macro, micro, and more, although it is safe for work in this case. You might enjoy the book if you like twists on superpowered characters, as I talked about with how the god abilities are very unique in this universe. And you might also like it if you like eating olives. You will come back to me and you will say, I suddenly understand and oh my god, when you read this book. So I look forward to that. This is one that you can get at Frickland this weekend. So, bring out the app again. 47.
Here.
7. Here we go.
I'm gonna figure out those olives.
Yeah. Alright, so the next one. Oh, take drink. I always have to remember to take drink between books. Especially this weekend, oh my gosh. It's hot out. So, the next one we'll be talking about is The Price of Thorns. The Price of Thorns was also a bit of a surprise book for me. This one is a fantasy book that's also inspired a lot by fairy tales. So this one is written by Tim Sussman, who, I don't know who this guy is. Who could he be? It's Kyle Gold. This is Kyle Gold. You secret Kyle Gold. This is the name that Kyle Gold uses for books where he has human characters on top of the anthropomorphic characters in the story. So these are some of the examples. We have Common and Precious. Tower and the Fox is one of my sort of favorite books from him about historical, magical stuff taking place during the Revolutionary War era. Unfinished Business, which is sort of a supernatural city book. And then we have Writerways. Writerways is Kyle Gold's craft book. It is sort of a introduction to writing, learning about writing book, and it uses The Price of Thorns as its example for everything that it talks about in that book. So if you want to read Writerways, I highly recommend reading Price of Thorns first because it makes the experience of that book so interesting, because you get those examples throughout the entire thing. So I kind of ignored The Price of Thorns for a long time because the cover didn't really tell me what it was about, and neither did the back blurb of the book. I kind of just passed it on. And really all you would have needed to tell me in order for me to pick it up right away was that this is a transformation book. People get turned into animals in this book, and that's right up my alley, and I was excited when I heard that and read it right away. So this book takes place in a world where magic has become linked to stories. They've sort of calcified, I think is what the term that the book uses, into artifacts. You can't really use magic without having an artifact and knowing its story to use the spell within. Or as I like to call it, knowing its Dark Souls item description in order to use the spell within. If you know that this ring was named after Harold the Rock, the battlefield compatriot of Gwyn the First Lord, then you can use that Gary Quip bonus. So, this story stars Nibby. Nibby is a thief who is bad at his job. He was recently exiled from Thieves Guild after a mistake, and he has come across hard times. He's recently failed to steal something, and as a result has been tied to a punishment wheel in a small village at the beginning of the story. And the town was very excited to use their punishment wheel. So they're throwing tomatoes at him at the beginning of the story, when along comes this woman named Bella. Bella is very angry. She is just done with the world right now when she shows up. And she asks, or demands of Nibby, that she come with him to help her steal a kingdom, which is a strange request, but Nibby is so down on his luck that he's like, maybe she does have a claim to something, and like, I really don't have many options right now, so I'm going to go with her, and maybe this will actually work out. What do I have to lose? But as a result of doing that, one thing leads to another, and one magical mishap later, Nippy gets turned into a weasel. He sort of becomes a cute little minion for this lady, but Nippy isn't the only one in this universe who is transformed into an animal. This universe has a whole bunch of people who have just been turned into animals due to run-ins with magic and sort of fairy tale creatures. And they're called former humans in this universe, and they're all over the place. One of them he meets as a guide in a city. Zane is a hawk who becomes his friend while they're being guided around the city. And Zane is also a former human and kind of is able to show him a little bit of the ropes. And he, I think, is just the best character in the story. I love him so much. Them so much. So, these two need to sort of go on a journey to catch up with Bella, because Bella just left Nippy behind after he turned into a weasel. So they have a to-do list to catch up to Bella, get changed back, probably become subservient to a cruel, unstable magic lady who might end up taking over the world, and hopefully it all works out. So this is a book you might like if you like unique magic systems. The way storytelling is essential for magic in this universe. You also have transformation, like I said, is kind of the reason that I picked up the book. It's one of my favorite themes. You also have the profoundness of storytelling. Kyle has both been writing stories for a long time, so he has a lot of interesting insight on storytelling that kind of makes its way thematically and symbolically into this book. You have a lot of themes of found family and friends, which is also a very popular theme within Furry. And you also have some characters who become who learn a career throughout the story. They run into a lot of queer characters that are wonderful to see represented in a story like this. So this is another one that you can get at Anthrocon again. So we'll move this one away. 26. 26. Alright, so the next one we're going to be talking about is the Candy Cycle, Skeleton Crew. This is a science fiction book. This is high science fiction, I'd say. And it takes place in a specific sci-fi universe. And this is Rick Griffin's Haven Celestia sci-fi universe. It's a pretty expansive universe that has a whole bunch of comics and books written within it. Greg Lutterman is the writer. The 7 is not a typo. I still don't know the story behind it. I really gotta ask him one day. But he's written a trilogy called The Candy Cycle, which we're talking about today. And he's also written the Tory Mysteries, which take place in sort of a similar scenario. But they are murder mystery stories. So if you're into mysteries and want something in a sci-fi setting, that's a great book to check out. He's also done a lot of work in editing for Haven Celestia. This is a fantastic anthology in that universe that I absolutely loved. So check that out as well. So some background on how this universe works. So this universe is ruled by a bunch of space dragons. And these space dragons are called a cocoon. And they sort of have a few key traits, I'd say. They love capitalism, space capitalism. They do a lot of slavery, and they're pretty darn evil for the most part. They are extremely ill-tempered, and they rule the whole galaxy with an iron fist. There's only one group that's sort of opposing them in this massive, ongoing, endless war that's happening in this universe. One of the species that they've ended up enslaving are the Jeru, and they're sort of space kangaroo things, smaller, and they were taken over. Their planet was destroyed by the cocoon, and the cocoon put them on, most of them on these sort of colony ships that go around the universe searching for planets that the cocoon can exploit by either taking their resources or terraforming into new worlds for themselves. The Jeru live on these colony ships. This, I don't know if it's still canon or not. I found it on a wiki, but they're very expansive ships that have a nice forest area at the top for them that they travel around the universe in. And there are about 10,000 Jeru per colony ship, and that number is strictly enforced to the point where people on the ship have to self-euthanize at 60 years old. And that is sort of one of the main oppressive things that the Cocoon do to the Jeru on these colony ships. It sort of dictates a lot of the way that they end up living their lives and the way that they're oppressed. Like I said, only 10,000 Jeru may live at one time. And that's a problem for the main character of the story, Kanti, because he's Jeru 10,001. Kanti is a mistake. And I believe what happened in the story is that when I read it a while ago, his mother, whatever keeps Jeru from reproducing, didn't work on her, and she ended up having a child regardless. So Kanti has been living his entire life as sort of fugitive, trying to stay low and keep out of sight so that he doesn't get thrown in the recycler, which is a big machine that basically turns everything into its component atoms to be recycled into the ship. So Kanti has a best friend named Sena, and Sena gets squished at the beginning of the story in an industrial accident. And due to a mix-up, they believe that Kanti was the one who got killed. So they discover that there is a 10,001th Jeru on board, and Kanti sort of takes the place of Sena in order to stay hidden. He impersonates his squish friend. So at the same time, though, the a-hole dragon who runs the ship has discovered, of course, that there was an extra Jeru on board, which makes him think that maybe there are more on board. And he starts implementing rules and coming down upon the ship with an iron fist in order to discern what else is wrong with the place. Specifically threatening a skeleton crew, which is sort of recycling a whole lot of the Jeru in order to just run the ship bare bones. So Sarsuk is a great character as well. I think he's having his own story coming out soon. I'm real excited about that. So you might say this story is sort of very Logan's Run, if you've ever seen that old sci-fi movie. So I also, just as a side note on this series, I wanted to highlight sort of how cover art evolves in long-standing stories like this. I don't know if that first one was actually used in a physical copy, but I think it's really kind of neat seeing how cover art evolves over time. That's just a little side thing that I thought was interesting while I was looking up stuff about looking at cover images. So this is a book that you might like if you like big sci-fi universes, of course. Bunch of different languages, cultures, different atmosphere and food requirements for a lot of different species in this universe. Biology is very much considered across these different species. You might like it if you like meticulously organized plots. I think there's a lot of focus on making sure that every plot hole is filled and that the plot is very cohesive throughout. There's a lot of dark concepts in here, but with a lot of whimsy at the same time. For instance, the Cocoon are big dragons, and they have cleaning crews that clean their rooms for them that are like, imagine just a bunch of tiny little guys cleaning your room for you. I just think that's whimsical, but they do die a lot in the process. So it's dark concepts with some of that whimsy, which I think is wild. You'll also, if you like the art of Rick Griffin, if you like house pets, for instance, these books are nicely illustrated with art by Rick Griffin. And space capitalism. I'm sorry to Curry. Capitalism is in space, and it's space dragons. So there are also 2 direct sequels to this book, but of note, There's also some indirect sequels that take place on the same ship. And they were written by Rick Griffin himself, and they are excellent books. I read them recently. They have audiobooks if you want to check them out. It's a really epic story, and I loved it quite a bit. So this is one that you can get at Go to Roo. Just look for that logo or that. All right. This one goes to 50.
No, that's me.
That's you. Go to Roo. So if you want to find all of the places in the dealers down that have furry fiction, I actually put a map on my website. So there's a link to it right on the homepage.
But I know for Planet from last.
Yeah. I'll show the map at the end of this as well. So next we're going to talk about Tales of Scales. I got to go a bit quicker here. Tales of Scales is a fantasy short story anthology. It's written by Nanakiri Bookworm, who is a book dragon, a hoarder of books. Nanakiri is also a well-published writer, written short stories and poetry and a whole bunch of stuff. He's actually in the con book right now. He has a short story in here. So he shows up in a lot of places. Here's a list of some of those places. Nanakiri also does a whole bunch of other stuff. He has a website where he posts a lot of his stories, a lot of reviews of books. I think he does little YouTube videos sometimes, events that he's going to, and other dragon things. So, this book, as you might expect of an author who is a dragon and writes about dragon things, is about dragons.
Wow.
This book is full of short and sweet, wonderful stories about dragons, or that at least have a dragon in them. These are very creative stories with very creative concepts. For instance, a cyborg dragon builds a spaceship in order to find his lost friend, sort of a clockwork-style dragon. An adventurer falling in love with the dragon that he was sent to slay. That one's written in kind of a journal style that I really like, a letter style. Or something, because I love crows, one where a crow attempts to win the affection of a dragon. And one of my favorite stories in the book is where a group of kobolds forms a workers' union.
Yay!
That's a novella in this book, and it's a wonderful story with a lot of great characters. So this is one that you're gonna love. If you love books that also work for young readers, this is one of the books that I tend to recommend for younger furries who can't read the more adult literature. It's very PG. There's magic in a lot of different forms in each story. Each story kind of has its own way that it handles magic. A lot of wildly creative concepts in there. And you explore a variety of different types of dragons as well. And of course, you will love this book if you like seizing the means of production. So this one is actually available from Founders Publishing in the dealer stand. This one away. 36. Yep. All right, we got 5 minutes. Let's do this. So, the last book we're going to talk about today is The Wideness of the World, or the Furry Historical Fiction Society Anthologies. Anthologies plural. We'll get to that. So this is a short story anthology with a bunch of furry speculative history in it. It basically asks the question history, but this time it's furry. And they explore the whole range of history. That includes an anthology for prehistory, an anthology for antiquity, an anthology for medieval times, and this anthology, which is the modern or early modern period, things like the Age of Sail, and piracy, and whatnot. So this is really one where you can sort of pick your favorite, when you go to check them out, and it gives you sort of the best way to learn about a huge range of furry writers all at once. You get a great idea of the landscape of furry writing. It's sort of a great introduction to a bunch of different ones that you can go and check out. And when I say there are a lot of furry writers, I mean there are a lot of furry writers represented in this anthology. This is, I think, most of the writers who participate in at least one of these books. The stories, for example, in this book, you have an English ambassador falling in love with the composer of Louis XIV of France, the Sun King. You might know him better. You have a pirate captured by the English, forced to help them take down an infamous pirate king, who's also kind of a recurring character throughout the anthologies. And one that was nominated, I don't think it won Yosemite or not, but it's about a scriptorium monk who, there are people that copied books back in the day, who helps a fugitive rebel after the invention of the printing press results in a lot of rebellions throughout Europe. And they have a bit of a debate about whether that resulted in good things or bad things for the world. So this is a collection that you can pick up at Night Eyes Day Springs Dealer's Den Table. I think he has all of these anthologies at his table. He does. Okay, great. So, last one of the day to give away. 20. 20, back there. All right. So, as I said, a lot of these books are available in the dealer's den today. I know there are some on the right that aren't, but this map is also available on my website. There's a big link to it on the front page of my site for you to find a whole bunch of different furry fiction, including a lot of books that I didn't talk about today. So I will leave this up, but I believe we have 2 minutes. If anybody has any questions, any recommendations that they'd like to make?
Can I trade my book for
Trade your book?
Yeah, some other one sounded really interesting, honestly.
You can, I think, hand the book off to somebody else if you aren't into it, but I don't have any extra books.
Damn.
So.
Trade among the other winners, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Lesbians?
Oh, back there? Yeah, Stars of the Golden Dancer is wonderful. He also has Blood of Life, which is a vampire gay erotic romance that's really wonderful. And he has Little Tales, which is a book of short stories featuring novels. And he also has a poetry chapbook called Clarion of Open. Yes, Oh, yes. I think if you want to start with sort of safer work of fiction, I think the Dangerous Spirit series is a fantastic place to start. One of my favorite series, and they only get better as they go on. The third book, I think, has one of my favorite characters in all of furry fiction. And it also just came out with a new entry after 10 years called City that was very good. Yeah. All right, I believe that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for coming. Stay hydrated and stay cool. I also have the adult showcase tonight, so make sure to come to that if you enjoyed this. Have a good one.